Okay. So hi everyone. So today we'll be having group discussion. So in this exercise, we'll be given a topic, and thereafter you have to discuss on it for 15 to 20 minutes, and thereafter I'll conclude the discussion. So as a part of the first GD, I'll be giving you two topics, and you have to choose as a group. You have to choose one of the two, and thereafter start the discussion. So I'll just give you the two topics. Right. India is a fast emerging as an international player both in economic and military fields. In order to play a more effective role, India should develop better contacts with A. Developed countries, B. Developing countries, C. Neighboring countries. And the second topic is
Wait, can you repeat it? Because you are not audible. Means
am I
in middle.
audible now?
Yeah. Some network.
India, yeah, India is fast emerging as an international player, both in economic and military fields. In order to play a more effective role, India should better develop contacts with developed countries, developing countries, or neighboring countries. Right? And the second topic is India facing energy crises, which affects adversely our industrial economic growth. And as advisor to the Prime Minister, which of the following sources of energy will you recommend for greater priority? Hydropower, nuclear power, or other renewable sources of power? Do you want me to
Wait, can you
repeat the
repeat?
topics?
Yeah. Second
Okay.
one.
Okay. I'll go with the yeah. I'll say both of the topics again. So the first topic is India is fast emerging as an international player, both in economic and military fields. In order to play a more effective role, India should develop better contacts with A. Developed countries, B. Developing countries, and C. Neighboring countries. And your second topic is India is facing energy crises, which is affecting adversely our industrial growth and economy. As the advisor to the Prime Minister, which of the following sources of energy do you recommend for greater priority? A. Hydropower. B. Nuclear power. C. Any other renewable resources of power.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
I say that
Okay.
first topic. I will go with first topic.
Yes, we can go with the first one.
I think we can go with the first topic, guys.
Okay.
So
So
I will just re-say the first topic for the sake of greater clarity of the group. India is fast emerging as an international player, both in economic and military fields. In order to play a more effective role, India should develop better contacts with developed countries, developing countries, and or neighboring countries. So, friends, I
okay.
think we should be developing greater contacts with developing countries, as we have seen that many developing countries like African countries and as well as countries in the Middle East and the lower part of Southern America have greatly helped us with various tie-related and also uh, making
I
us
think
a
that
good market over there.
Friends, I believe
I
we
think
should
that
go for the developing countries. Reason
good.
being, all of the
We have
developed countries have already reached their peak
there
level,
is a
and we have
neighboring
seen the US is already at a declining
both
level. So,
countries.
yes, I believe India should
In
go
that,
on in a
crisis going
comprehensive
on.
Yes,
manner
I
with the
do
developing
agree with Neha,
countries.
ma'am, that
So if
we should
there
go
is
with the developing countries as we can share the
then I
resources
think
and the
there will be
technology
more
available
refugees
for
from
both of the
coming
countries
from
to develop.
as Myanmar is facing food crisis and the Cold War in Myanmar. So
Yes.
the refugees from Myanmar is directly into directly coming into India. So developing countries are in this situation. It is good for the country to develop its economy and the country can grow fast if the neighboring countries are in a peace. So
Yes,
India.
I think as Indians and as India's philosophy goes, that we want to grow and with alongside we want to take like other nations with us as well. And as the various international schemes that we have provided, it also shows the same philosophy. So I think developing countries could be a greater power that will be standing
We have
beside
already
us.
Yes.
seen the example of this in the G20 summit, wherein India invited the African Union, which is again a developing country, to have a wider participation in a global forum.
we cannot depend on the neighboring countries because our relationship with Pakistan and China was not good. So if we depend on them, it will be affect our nation. So we should depend on the other countries, for example, Russia, France, and USA, because whatever we are taken from them, for example, all the manufacturers of the aircraft and the other aircraft, we are taken from the Russia and the France. So we should depend on the developed countries because
Agree.
Russia
I think
What
cannot.
my point was, what
I think if we see the defense scholar, so
that
we have
India
already grown various home own equipments, for example, BrahMos and also Arjuna
yeah,
tanks. So
sorry.
the developing countries are actually market for us, so that we can
Yeah,
actually deploy our weapons there and actually
I
see the
agree with
usages and also
Truly,
the
I
sort
would
of
also like to
economy
say
out there.
that these developing countries are also in our neighbors. So if we say developing countries, we are also considering our neighbors.
no, no,
So I
but
believe
Pakistan is not a developing country. It is still on the economic crisis. So we cannot depend on Pakistan or the Bangladesh because they do not provide us the manufacturers which are available for our nation. So we should depend on the Russia and France because whatever the equipments and the aircraft we purchase from the Russia, they are beneficial for us. So we should
I
depend
think,
on both.
friends, I think as a
Friends,
country, we should not be actually thinking of depending on any country. We should be like being
uh,
self-resilient. What we
Self-dependent.
should be rather we should be rather thinking is like to go hand in hand with other countries, taking their help, giving our help, and sort of making an ecosystem where we're all dependent on each other. But at the same time, we are trying to be resilient in our own terms.
But
yeah,
according to
friends, adding a point, if India maintains good relations with with their neighboring country, for example, we will take Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a neighboring state of India. So the trade between India and Europe will be done from the Arabian Sea. So if we have good relationship between the Afghanistan, so the trade will be directly through the Afghanistan rather going from Arabian Sea. We can save money we can save money by doing trade from the Afghanistan.
yeah,
So
according to
that is
index,
the relationship with
second
their neighbors.
India is the second largest importer and the exporter of USA. So, if we talk about the import and the export, we should not depend on India, but Russia, but we should have to take some aircraft and the equipment from the Russia. So we can strengthen our military and as well as we can develop our nation fast.
true.
I
I
think
Friends,
also
hard
as we
power.
believe
taken,
that
I think
as to
uh,
have an inclusive development, the developed countries are already onto a alignment with India that we have already seen the recent visits by US,
yes.
Russia, and European unions. But the other part, the global south, is always sidelined. So
friends,
I
as
believe
we
And
having
India is trying to be a
having
leader
the
of that.
line of the Vasudev Kutumbakam, we should focus on this global south and be the voice of global south.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, I
and
but
agree
that's
with
where
that.
India should use its soft power and the power that exercises. For example, in COVID, also we exercised our soft power there, and our soft power is actually much in terms of, I would say, film, cinema, and our exclusive hand in terms of any crisis that happens.
yeah, adding to the Nikita's point, our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently visited USA for the Teslas. So we can have an important for that also. So we can have our economic development using that what we call that Teslas.
I think that's for sure. Like when we talk about developed countries, we always think of taking their help and incorporating whatever we have. So I think for sure we'd be doing that. At the same time, developing countries also offer a lot of things. For example, African countries or Bangladesh, they have good textile markets. So we can take help of that and sort of create our own market over there, or take our own technology and use it over there, so that they also
Yeah,
grow and we also grow.
not
Yeah,
developed
friends,
countries.
what I think is that if we think about 40
Depend on
years
the
past,
countries. For
China was
example,
not a developed country. But now we can see China is a hub of manufacturing. The basic products what we are using, headphones, phones, all are manufactured in China. So so what China did is China maintained good relationship with their neighbors. After becoming powerful nation, so now they are making critics in the other countries. So what I think is that if a country is emerging its economy, it is underdeveloped country, so it should maintain its good relationship with the other neighboring countries. If neighboring countries are in peace, then all countries will be in the peace. What I think.
yeah, adding to
Certainly,
the
but that would be focusing on just one part of the globe. But as to emerge as a superpower, I believe we have to take as a global forum, which would be that we have highest number of working age group in this era and continued it would be in the next few decades as well. We can provide a cheaper manufacturing, as one of my friend mentioned, and we can send that across to other African unions, wherein the basic poverty and other problems persist. Even the humane conditions are not there, and we have seen the similar example with the vaccine, wherein the cheaper vaccines were sent across the globe to help the people.
We
Friends,
should
as
not
you can
think
see, 2 years ago, in
by
Afghanistan, before 2 years ago, in Afghanistan, there was a rule of means U.S. Army was ruling the Afghanistan. The whole responsibility to keep peace in Afghanistan was U.S. Army. But after Joe Biden was the president of USA, he declared that all U.S. Army he took back to the USA. The reason behind this was to create means to destroy peace in Asian countries. So neighboring means keeping good relationship with the neighboring countries, what I think is a good result for growing economy.
my point
I
of
think
view.
if we see in most of our neighborhood, there are only developing countries only. So if
Yeah.
we target the developing countries overall, we can actually target all of our neighbors
Yeah.
specifically.
We are talking just about the neighboring countries. If we talk about the globe, for example, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Tehran, all the countries also supporting India. So because if we support them, they also help our in the equipment, also supporting the. For example, if we take about the example of an Quad, in Quad country we have Russia, Japan, Australia, and USA. Right? If we have a strong relationship with them, so we can develop our strength in Indian Ocean also.
I think if today we see most of the population that there is in the globe is in the developing countries only. And I think in today's terms, whenever any global summit happens, there is a say some sort of voting that goes on for one or the other favor. So if we try to influence our soft power over there by saying like doing contracts with the developing countries, it would actually help us in the long term to like have a leverage over such platforms.
Yeah.
At the same time, I also believe, since the world is taking towards a multilateralism, the climate justice, which would require everybody's help and not just the developed countries. So, in this particular thing, I believe developing countries, since most of the countries are developing countries and we only have handful of developed nations, we should be come together as a collective force towards the climate justice, and that would only happen when all of the countries are on the same page.
Yeah,
And
adding
I
to the
think that's why that's how India is trying to build up the ISA network that it has. What Neha said.
my point of view is that India is not a developed country; it is a developing country. If we have an exercises and the interaction with the developing countries, so it will be good for the nation, and also we can develop as fast as possible.
I think in today's terms, what we should be targeting is sustainable development because developed countries that there are today, they've already developed at a much higher rate and like pace, like which is really admirable. But at the same time, if we see in terms of climate, it has done really, I would say, impeccable damage to it. So sustainable development should be, I think, looked at in the current order.
Uh,
Yes, I also believe the example of Venezuela, that being in the Latin America, we hardly know about it, but it's one of the biggest source of oil, crude oil, and other petroleum. So I believe, friends, having such countries wherein the inflation would drastically reduce in the entire global stage, and that would also help the economy. So I believe having online or in line with Venezuela or other state countries such that would rather help the economy in the larger page.
yeah,
Friends,
recently.
as we'll take Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was facing from money problems. So in COVID times, India supplied free vaccines for Sri Lanka. The main motto of supplying free vaccines for Sri Lanka was to maintain a good relationship with the neighbors and to have peace with the neighboring countries.
Adding to the Manthan's point, recently we have an operation with Operation Kaveri, which was to rescue the peoples from the Sudan, which we have aircraft used as C-30J, which shows that we have a strong relationship with the Sudan also, and also we can have an better relationship with that country. So it will be help our nation to grow economically as well as it will support us for our military.
Right. As Manthan has mentioned about helping the neighboring states, I would also like to quote the difference between the foreign policy from last 50 years to now, which says earlier it was look east, then it turned out to Act East, and currently India works on the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is to it is already has acquired a regional power, but to set a stage on the larger platform, it would need to help or
Global.
incorporate everyone.
Adding to Nikita's point, we can say that INS Vikrant is a huge win for the Atmanirbhar. So it is also a point of it is also a point of a nation developing towards power. Okay, from now my point of view is that we should focus on all the countries, for example, developing and the neighboring countries to have to get an fastest economic as well as becoming a developed country. So we should focus main on the not only the countries which are developed, we should also focus on all the countries in the globe for our strengthening the military as well as our economic crisis.
I think that's right. But at the same time, the focus should be to become self-resilient. At the same time, to grow along with others and not just focus on our own growth. And I think that's where the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or like global, like idea of becoming global superpower comes in. That to become the leader of the global south, we have to go with the global south only. And global south mostly contains developing countries. So if you think about that, like if we are growing, then we should also enable others to grow. And I think with that motive only, India is going ahead, and it's helping other countries in itself as well to grow in terms of economy, then politics, and as well as social power as well.
The
So yeah.
G20 also plays an important role for the India because if we have one G20 meeting in India, it will be also have a relationship with the neighboring countries which are included in G20. For example, Joe Biden recently visited Jammu and Kashmir to have a meeting with our honorable Prime Minister, which shows that we have a relationship with good relationship with the Russia.
Yes, agreeing with Sumit, as India is hosting the presidency of G20 summit, so there is a project going on in Jammu and Kashmir of building a new mall. The contract given of building that new mall is to the Imar group, the same group which built the Burj Khalifa. So what I think is that if there is mutual understanding between the neighboring countries, for example, Pakistan. If we'll take Pakistan, Pakistan is our neighbor, and Afghanistan also is our neighbor. So they are constructing the what I can say. They are constructing the mall in the Jammu and Kashmir. The reason of constructing the mall in Jammu and Kashmir is to means to develop that particular area to wait.
Friend, as Rohit has mentioned, that inclusive development is a part of our basic strategy. Mall is a great infrastructure. I totally believe it. But at the same time, we also see the African Union, the countries like Libya, wherein PM Modi quoted about the energy crisis, the Ethiopian crisis, and the Tigray crisis, which are taking place, wherein even the drop of water is an everyday struggle. Even the food is, people are not getting food, even a 2 square meal every day. So I believe focusing all our energy, all our resources from developed nations towards these would rather help and synchronize all the world into one.
Yeah, adding to the Neha's point, we can say that on recently on 21st June, we have International Yoga Day, right? So our Honorable Prime Minister went for USA to have an yoga practices with along with the president and all the members of the countries. So it is also shows that it has a good participation with the countries, and it will also plays an important role for the nation as well.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. I think that was a very healthy discussion that we had. Right? Hello.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So I'll just end the recording.